Welcome to Uncloaked Delusions. I'm Chris Anthony. Tonight I had been sifting through a great deal of my books and I came upon the consolations of philosophy. And I started reading through a great deal of the highlights that I had made. And I stumbled upon one excerpt by a philosopher named Seneca. Now, Seneca was one of my favorites. Seneca was born 100 AD in Cordoba, Spain. He wrote about 20 books on different aspects of life. Seneca was one of the most famous and popular philosophers of his day. And Seneca, he had a very, very strong, influential plateau in politics. And he ultimately became a politician. Now, Seneca, he tutored a young man that grew up to become Nero and the ruler of that particular era. Now, due to a conspiracy and an assumption of betrayal, he ordered Seneca to commit suicide. Now, Seneca focused a great deal on anger because he felt anger was derived from people's optimistic view on the world and people. So he suggested that we become a little bit more pessimistic and maybe skeptical of situations. So if they did turn out negatively, we would not allow ourselves to get angry because we had already dealt with it in our subconscious mind. Now, the excerpt that I came upon, it validates a great deal of what I am seeing today. I believe what we are seeing today. And it reads, because expensive objects can feel like plausible solutions to the needs we don't understand. Objects mimic in a material dimension what we require in a psychological one. Now, this was 2,000 odd years ago. And that statement, it holds validity and it validates a great deal of what we are seeing now, which one has pretty much said, if you don't know the past, you don't know history, then you are bound and condemned to repeat it. This just speaks to me unlike anything else for the most part, because I see people that literally they surround themselves with this lifestyle that's completely fictitious and materialistically driven. And in truth, people do place value on material things. So when you display that to people, they naturally assume that this is who you are. These material things that they value puts them in a position to value you as the material thing. It's also, a great deal of narcissism that comes from valuing material things and giving people a certain amount of value due to your value for material gain. And narcissism, my perspective on that, when it comes to a narcissistic person, narcissistic people do not love because they in turn cannot love. Their whole idea and enthusiasm for a person is really based on worship. They do not need love. They need worship. Narcissistic people, they do have high self-esteem to a certain extent based on the research that a book that I was reading, Narcissism Epidemic by Jean Twenge and Keith Campbell. It points out that narcissistic people do have high self-esteem, but that doesn't suffice for the melancholy or the deprecation that they feel on the inside, and it's literally a void that can never be filled. Now, what Seneca was pointing out then was his observation of a society that was completely consumed with material things and valuing people based off of that. Why is that not a surprise? Because that's exactly what we're doing now. So it seems like something that's a generational issue. It just travels down from generation to generation to generation. And, normally in a society, history tells us that when a particular culture or society has gotten to that point where they do not value one another based off of the merit and the actions of the person, we're pretty much entering the end of that culture, of that society. And that is what I believe we are witnessing right now, is the future has become the past repeating itself. Now, because I love philosophy so much, I feel like I've married philosophy, and it helps me to cope. It helps me to get through things. I would love for anyone of the people, the YouTubers that listen to the video, please respond. Send me some philosophers that you would like me to touch bases on. Send me some requests of things that you would like me to give my opinion about, give my perspective on. And I hope you enjoy this video that is giving a parallel, in my opinion, between the past and the present, between the materialistic society of that particular era and our materialistic society of this present era. I just think that it's interesting, and it's a word that I believe that I frequent because I do find things interesting, and sometimes I can be facetious when saying that term. However, there is always an interest in things even that may not even come off as that. Thank you for listening to the video, and I really hope you enjoy this, and I really look forward to getting some feedback.